You have seen it happen. The room is perfectly still, the house is silent, and yet your cat suddenly freezes. Its posture stiffens, its ears pivot toward a completely empty corner of the ceiling, and its pupils dilate to take in light. It locks onto something moving in the shadows, something you cannot see. It tracks this invisible presence across the room with total, unblinking focus. For those few seconds, the air in the room changes. You look exactly where the animal is looking, and you find absolutely nothing. We laugh it off, assuming they are watching a dust mote or listening to a pipe in the wall. Modern evolutionary biology offers a tidy explanation for these sudden, intense episodes. Biologists classify domestic cats as hypercarnivores, apex predators trapped in miniature bodies, maintaining an overly sensitive nervous system. This scientific consensus suggests that when your cat stares into the void, it is exhibiting a residual predatory reflex, an ancient hunting instinct triggered by microscopic stimuli. In this view, the animal is hallucinating prey. The oldest written records in human history offer a different account. Deep within the earliest cuneiform archives of ancient Mesopotamia, the feline is defined as an entity that exists between realms. These esoteric texts describe the creature as a biological tool, a specifically engineered watcher assigned to human settlements. They characterize felines as biological instruments, placed among human populations by an external intelligence to serve as a constant living monitor. If these Sumerian texts are accurate, we have misidentified the creature sleeping at the foot of our beds. The descriptions found in these clay records suggest the domestic cat is a biological failsafe, an engineered sentinel assigned to a silent, ongoing war. Their primary mission begins the moment the human mind loses its grip on the material world. Evidence of this deployment remained buried for millennia beneath the sands of modern-day Iraq. In the early 20th century, European archaeological teams excavated the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia. They moved thousands of tons of desert earth, exposing the massive, crumbling ziggurats of a civilization that invented writing, law, and astronomy. From the dirt, they recovered tens of thousands of clay tablets. Most of these recorded grain receipts, royal decrees, tax ledgers, and marriage contracts. Amidst the endless administrative records, excavators recovered a fractured clay fragment that utilized a deeply archaic, complex proto-cuneiform syntax. The angular impressions pressed into this hardened mud did not tally livestock or record a king's lineage. They contained a structural schematic. The text used the term sag-ki, which translates as front or guardian, but applied it specifically to a household animal that arrived without a precursor in the local wild. Deciphering this text took decades of linguistic analysis. Scholars noted that the vocabulary heavily mirrored the language reserved for the priesthoods of Uruk. The final translation detailed an operational protocol. The tablet states that felines were introduced to Earth by those who come from the heavens, placed among humans for a specific defensive purpose. The symbols describe a creature that walks the threshold, meaning it is physically present in the material world, while possessing the biological ability to perceive invisible architectures within the human environment. This fragment is found among strictly administrative records, marking it as a serious, classified dossier rather than a mythic poem. The Sumerians recorded the integration of felines as a formal protocol enacted to protect the human population from an unseen threat. It acts as an ancient user manual for a biological security system we now call a pet. To comprehend the gravity of this text, we must look at the civilization that guarded it. Ancient Sumer was a society of impossible scale. They built sprawling metropolises with monumental architecture, aligning their structures with celestial bodies. In their literature, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, they documented the heavy, impenetrable walls of Uruk and the strict boundaries between realms. They were a people obsessed with defense and the recording of history. Cross-referencing the anomalous feline tablet with the broader Mesopotamian mythos reveals a distinct pattern. The Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation epic recorded on 7 massive tablets, details a universe forged in celestial conflict. It tells the story of Marduk battling the primordial serpent of chaos, Tiamat. order was imposed upon the earth, but texts insist that remnants of primordial chaos still lingered in unseen spaces, described as shadow eaters. The translated fragment regarding the feline species connects directly to this cosmic war. It indicates cats did not originate from the mud of the earth. The text states they were brought down by the Anunnaki to serve as localized biological countermeasures. They were imported to act as watchers of the threshold, deployed to intercept the residual chaotic forces that threaten the stability of the human spirit. According to humanity's oldest written records, the domestic feline is an imported species. It was engineered and assigned to an earthbound mission by the architects of human civilization, tasked with securing the human environment from forces we lack the sensory organs to perceive. The Sumerian texts identify the state of sleep as the primary human vulnerability. In Mesopotamian literature, traversing the spiritual plane requires the shedding of all earthly protections. The ancients viewed sleep through this lens. When a human sleeps, the physical body powers down, and the consciousness, referred to as the gedim, untethers itself. Without the rigid focus of the waking mind, the human energetic field is exposed to the environment. The ancients believed that this untethered state attracts predators. The texts describe unseen, energetic parasites, formless entities composed of chaotic resonance. They feed on the scattered energy of the dreaming human mind. These shadow eaters are the unseen threats that linger in darkened corners, drawn to the passive radiation of a sleeping human body. The tablet details the feline's mechanical function as a tether guard. It describes the animal's ability to lock the human spirit to the physical bedpost through its own presence, functioning as an astral anchor. The cat is a biological machine engineered to perceive multiple energetic frequencies simultaneously. While the human mind unspools into the dream state, the feline mind remains locked into both the physical room and the unseen spectrum. This capability explains everyday behaviors. When a cat tracks an invisible object across the ceiling, it is processing sensory input from a frequency range the human optical nerve cannot detect. It is tracking an intrusion into the stabilized grid of the home. The text uses the word see to shine, describing the cat's eyes as lenses that illuminate these shadow entities. The mechanics outlined in these clay tablets recontextualize our relationship with these animals. The cat curling up at the foot of the bed at night is establishing a tactical perimeter. It is actively running a guard protocol, shielding the vulnerable, untethered mind from the predators described in the ancient texts. This defensive protocol appears in other advanced ancient civilizations. The Egyptian reverence for felines was a direct continuation of the Sumerian protocol. The Egyptians understood the mechanics of the guardian unit and built a religious infrastructure to support its maintenance. They believed the presence of a cat in the home was the primary deterrent against spiritual intrusion. The Egyptian Book of the Dead operates as a literal instruction manual for spiritual defense. The papyri document the hazards of the unseen world and the nature of energetic parasites. These records describe the feline as a necessary companion for the soul's journey, acting as a guide through the duat, where shadow entities are most numerous. In Egyptian records, we find the cat of Heliopolis, a literal description of the feline sentinel executing its primary function. The artwork depicts a cat severing the head of a massive serpent, Apophis, the personification of chaotic parasitism, to preserve cosmic order. The Egyptians maintained a reciprocal relationship with these creatures. Temple records suggest that the physical health and luxury afforded to cats were intentional investments. By providing a sanctuary for the animals, the Egyptians believed they were maintaining the strength of the spiritual shield. The deification of Bastet reflects the formalization of the security agreement. Humanity provided physical protection, while felines provided metaphysical defense. Two foundational empires of human history documented identical operational protocols regarding the exact same animal. They both recorded that the cat is a biological tool used to sever the influence of chaotic entities. They were fighting the exact same unseen threat with the same imported technology. Bring this ancient data back to your immediate reality. Look at the cat currently resting in your home. When it vibrates on your chest, a complex biological mechanism is firing. We interpret this as a display of affection, but the Sumerian texts define it as a localized frequency broadcast. The domestic cat's purr remains a biological mystery. There is no dedicated purr organ. Researchers hypothesize that the sound is produced by the laryngeal muscles, driven by a neural oscillator, but the mechanical efficiency baffles biologists. Science acknowledges that the specific frequency range, between 25 and 150 Hz, aligns with the vibrational rates required to accelerate tissue repair in human biology. The ancient texts define the purr as an active frequency generator. It is a mechanical output. When the feline engages this neural oscillator, it projects a harmonic field. This field aligns and stabilizes the scattered energetic particles of the human biomagnetic field. The purr physically repairs the disruptions in the human energy field caused by daily stress. What we view as mundane behavior is a defensive mechanism actively operating within our homes. The cat is running a diagnostic and repair sequence on your systems, ensuring you are stabilized before you enter the vulnerable state of sleep. The anomalous Sumerian tablet contains a final, terrifying clause. It is a conditional warning regarding the future of the human species. The text outlines a scenario where humanity forgets the nature of their guardians. The tablet warns that if the human race rejects or drives away the feline sentinels, the stabilizing frequency grid will collapse. The warning states that without the astral anchors holding the perimeter, the parasitic entities will flood the physical plane unhindered. Humanity, blind to these frequencies, will be left defenseless, their consciousness consumed while they sleep. The next time your cat stares into an empty corner and then insists on sleeping next to your head, you must reconsider its nature. It is not seeking a comfortable blanket. It is a veteran of an invisible war, taking up its position on the front lines. The Sumerians and the Egyptians recorded the same truth. Cats are the ultimate failsafe. They stand as a biological wall between human consciousness and the predatory forces of the unseen world. They are actively holding back the dark. This ancient protocol leaves us with one final, unsettling question. If the feline species was deployed to guard us while we sleep, what specific animal was deployed to watch us while we are awake?